Hello again, grown Black folks talk of extremes and transcendence for Black women, with some thought about how the rest of the human race can also attain uh, these kind of interesting situations, good and bad, and even transcendent on both. This is a more personal discussion I'm having with you, although I will give no personal details. But I will share with you that Saturday was a waypoint in a process last week of really realizing to my sorrow on one hand, and that's why I say transcendence, to my joy on another hand, owing to the nature of seizing the crypto bull run for financial freedom. I will have the privilege next month of putting information into the hands of people who making things available that normally would not come for almost another 2 years. In essence, we're going to be moving Black women and others who are in the retail sector from the back of the crypto line to the front, provided people believe enough in the credibility of this book to at least give it a chance to read it and apply what's there. This is an awesome responsibility. It is also I did not get up in the morning on July 30th and even see this coming. To be chosen by the Lord is part of my calling to be able to do this. This is not a boast. I had no thought going through just being a year ahead of many of you in the crypto market that this is what I would be doing as I do what I generally do and diligently learn. It is an incredible privilege. It is also incredibly difficult to make the decisions necessary to fit one's life to the privilege. And so this also involved a level of grief for me that also was transcendent, compounded by finally completing my research about Rhoda Osman, not Osman, that's the English name, and realizing how many Black women are lost to the very projects that I want them to be on because they are going to be more likely to find reasons to compete and compare and put down instead of doing the collaborative work necessary. So, on one hand, such a height of joy and blessing. On the other hand, such a depth and weight of grief. Extremes and transcendence. It puts you in a very interesting headspace. Um, I came on upset when you last saw me because there is no way. I try to have very good self-control. Sometimes anybody can get beyond their limit. Um, I was able to not say things that, would be anathema to whom I represent, but that was a limit to how far I could go. So that was Saturday. On Sunday, my pastor preached an amazing sermon from the book of Job. And Job, of course, heights and depths over the course of that book. It was interesting that that happened then. On Monday, I had to make a decision. That is the 15-month ending of another decision that I made. And now that is completely lost. But again, because I do see what is happening among us. In this last week, today is when you see this, it'll be Friday. In this last 10 days, I have come to terms with something that both as a Christian and even generally, that is necessary to just come to terms with. See, being middle-aged has actually been very kind to me at 42 because I'm getting perspective on things that I don't have to be 62 to have. The nature of the assignment is, and this is where you're able to transcend, the nature of the assignment for Black women. I'll put this in a Christian perspective first, and then I'll broaden it out to everybody else. I represent to you as best I can, vastly imperfectly, but the best I can. And where I get way off, I do come back and apologize and correct myself as much as I am when I realize. A God who is both love and is the faithful and compassionate and merciful. And when you are a Black woman in the world, people expect you to overcompensate for the lack of those things in the society we live in. We are expected to overcompensate for everybody. But at the same time, though, this is unjust. The very nature of how our ancestors were brought to this country, both male and female, but in particular our foremothers. And I'm not saying more so because actually Black men in mass were in slavery longer, but you have to understand, Black women were brought here to be SA'd, to have to be bred by force. That's a different level than just work to death. SA'd, forced to bear children, forced to take care of the children of people who were setting this up for them, and work to death. It's just a different level. Bearing the country on our backs and in our wombs, that is what this country still expects of us. And so the God that I represent, though, is also says that he is holy, just, and righteous, which means that conflict is absolutely inevitable. As much as I would prefer to be on the loving and nurturing side, I now have perspective I did not have in the spring, even. Just like all y'all, I'm still learning life as I go, like everybody else. Conflict is inevitable, and having to do conflict very seriously is inevitable. You know, people have this idea that the God of the Old Testament is very rough. He's also very rough in the New Testament. When I hear people say that, it's like, okay, y'all read Genesis, but you didn't read Revelation. That's the same God. And actually, by the time you get down to a world that has rejected Christ, it's actually a little rougher. Y'all didn't hear the Lord Jesus. Oh, he's so gentle. Did y'all hear him call the religious leaders of his day, ye brood of vipers? Because that's the assignment. The assignment is to put forth love and grace to all, and to slap the taste of evil out of his mouth when it's necessary. The assignment is both there. And as a representative, I don't get to account for my femininity allowing me not to do that. That is a lie. As a representative of Jesus Christ, I have to represent him completely, which is why sometimes I have to drop kick folks into next week or further. Today, my board meeting was truly was like the epitome of the extremes. On one hand, I rejoice to say that I am among perhaps 500 Black people who can do what I need to do for people in my community. I ran to one of our senior housing members who is now 98, and I could tell her, no matter what happens, no matter what the Republicans think they're doing, we got you. We can take care of you for the next year, if necessary, without their help. So Republicans do whatever they want. You're going to be fine. The joy of being able to tell 98-year-old elder sister, a Madeira's Madeira, that transcendent joy, to have followed my calling and have been involved with the Black people, men and women that I have been involved with, so that we basically like, some representative that we had worked with, well, we give you your money and we get to tell you what to do. And our owners were like, no, you don't. To be able to be Black in America and be able to do that is a remarkable feeling. But see, Black people are amazing in transcendent ways because there was other stuff that also happened. Things that I, of course, have, if I do share responsibility, not to repeat. But I was thinking of this week and just thinking about how Black people are amazing in our ability to accomplish and also in our ability to love the foolery and engage with it. It is astonishing. It is extreme. It is the opportunity for transcendent experiences, good, bad, and ugly. But what I have come to understand is, even in a week in which days in which, at the drop of a hat, days in which I have been so hemmed up that sleep was nearly impossible, days in which I have come to understand why it is written in a particular opera has a title character who talks about, I prayed for the comfort of tears. I know what that's about now. And then to have received what I asked for and had such moments of transcendent joy and relief that at last a day spent weeping intermittently, as at last it was able to come forth from me. This is not an ordinary place for me to be. But to have come to a point in knowing to whom, for whom I am called, and that I am built for this all the way around. This is not the path by which I would have brought myself. Certainly not. I did not want to know the appetite that my own people have in the face of the amazing things we actually can accomplish together for foolery. I did not want to know that. Now, I could tell myself, honestly, that I've actually known that for 21 months. Beginning when I stepped in, I learned so much from Themis and Dog. Beginning when I stepped in there, that was the first time that I really knew that there was a dedication. I shudder in horror to remember sometimes some of the people that came up and wanted their foolishness enthroned. I shudder to remember that, but I got good practice over there. I got good practice that I would need. I rejoice to think about the things that have been accomplished in that 21 months for many also. Again, I see a split track. I see what Charles Dickens described as in A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. We were all going directly to heaven, we were all going directly to hell. We'll adjust that. We were all moving toward doing the things that lead toward prosperity for ourselves and those for whom we are responsible. We were all heading directly to the permanent underclass. But in even a general sense, I hope that if you're listening to me, you understand, if you are here, if you are listening to me, as opposed to anybody else you can be listening to, I hope you understand that you're not called to the foolery. We may not agree at this time on an eternal level that one of the ways you get away from the foolery of trying to live your life like you God is to come to the Lord Jesus Christ in repentance and faith. We may never agree about that. Some things we're going to have to agree to disagree on in this world. That is the highest level of foolery, by the way. This is why certain billionaires of multiple colors are out there giving us advice about everything from how to play a president on television, how to accept a man that will take you to dinner a couple times and do a light bill, how long a pandemic will last, including dates and times about vaccines, although he makes computer systems, including the one I'm using. uh, People who have $500 million yachts who think that, what we should use space for is just to put our junk up there. Millionaires who have billionaires who have, we still listen to them, although they have 9 children and the oldest children are actually disowning them. Millionaires who are naming their children Messiah but cannot even keep all of them alive through infancy. Basically, they are engaging in delusions of godhood, but we engage in delusions of idolatry because we have made them big time. And then, of course, they say the wrong thing about the worst, wrong group of people end up being going from billionaires to millionaires in a single day. We prop them up, let them fall, and kiki. The foolery of idolatry. A lot of us are engaged in that. The foolery of vicariously trying to live out our own pretensions to godhood through that idolatry. A lot of us engage in that. There's a solution for that, but not everybody's ready for it. And of course, there are many competing systems. So some of these things we're not going to agree on. But I hope that if you're here looking at the extremes that we are looking at and living in, I hope that you understand. Yes, the lows can be really, really low. Really low. I ain't gonna front. I needed every ounce of Christian faith I have, every blessing of love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, patience, faith, meekness, and self control, the fruit of the Spirit, every inch of support, every piece of music. I just heard John Coltrane's Blue Train this week, among many other pieces of music that gave me the emotional relief that I needed in order not to lose my mind. I'm not going to front with you. The bad can be really bad. And yet, at the same time, if you pursue what you have been given to do of good, and you build on that consistently, and you remain in your integrity, the heights that you can reach, though finite, are plenty high enough. Everest is not at the sky. The sky is not at space. The galaxy is not even at the universe. It is a finite space, but there is no actual practical limit to how high you can go. No practical limit. There is a limit. I forget how big the universe is projected to be. There's no way for us to ever get to the edge of it, though. So how high can you go? As far as your limits actually are. As I say, there are many details I cannot give, and there are many details that I will not give. But I wanted to just share this very personal and honest conversation as we as Black women live in extremes right now. We're living in a country that's about to go into an extreme. Now, I already did the videos about the permanent underclass wake up call 3 months ago about the shutdown. I cannot even permit myself, speaking of transcendently angry, I can't do that on air right now. I have to represent the one that said, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. There is no way I can talk about that without completely flipping out. Nope, not today. Tomorrow's not looking good either. And if they let it shut down, next month's not going to be great either. But I have other things to talk to you about. Things that will help you weather these times. As I say, last week was really a very powerful experience of understanding the levels to which I have been put here to bless. Seeing the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom will have a free opening run date is pretty much settled down, but I don't have the end date together. So it will be available to each and every one of you listening to this. I will probably be doing crypto videos that week, and I will put it in the link to the description of every video that I do in that week. I know I don't have the end date yet, but when I have it, I'll start putting it out there for you. The idea that I should be so blessed as to be able to open the door for any of you listening to me to get from the back, which is where you are most likely to be as a Black person and as a Black woman in particular, because that's where we were in a financial crisis and we took 60% of the brunt of that because of it, to the front. It is a blessing to be able to say to elders whom I love and grew up with that we got you. There are no words to express the joy that I feel and to maintain the kind of life necessary to be able to do these things requires a level of separation and drop kicking. Lord, this last week, someone did something real dumb and let me know that, oh, by the way, for your hypergamy sisters and divestment sisters, just understand that this person was not a Black man. Let me know that he was trying to use me as a channel. Yeah. He was kind of begging for mercy when I was done, because I had to let that be known. I'm like, we gonna do this in 2023? I don't think so. No, 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 no. You had one time to do that. That was not cute. It was not fun. It was not safe. But it is a requirement to get up on that justice and mercy and judgment side from time to time. It requires a painful, intensely painful process of removing those things that will not accord with the privileges. I have been going through that process for 15 months. I'll let y'all do the math on that and where that goes to. But I share with you because these are the things that are necessary. Black people are amazing. Black women are amazing. What we will be able to accomplish together, should we choose to walk away from foolery and do it, there is no possible way for me to describe to you the privilege and the blessings that can be in store. I also cannot help you estimate the cost. But you either pay it or you're just not qualified to do what it is that you can do. So I'm paying it. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. James Brown told us that. Remember? It has been a transcendent 10 days. And the extremes that we live in, and the highs and lows. But for those of you who may be going through that experience, if you can keep going, if you can make the separations you need to make, if you can come down hard on people that are not for you and remove them from your life ruthlessly, if you can judge situations fairly, not everything requires ruthlessness, but make the changes that you need to make. If you can get your life together, like I have to get my life together. I don't just say that to y'all. Sometimes I have to watch these videos back and let Deanne tell Deanne, get your life together. then you can, at least in the middle of all of the challenges, you will find yourself more and more being able to look at what you have been able to do and realize, I was built for this. I am able to change things for myself and the people around me. I got a track record. That's amazing. What I've been permitted to do is amazing. And if you are a Christian, then you will also be able to add, and whoever else you may have in the worship, you also, I'm not as clear on how gratitude works in other religions. I know it's a major form, but as a Christian, I can say, and then you will also be able to say, Lord, I thank you. How great thou art that you would even permit me. I'm not as composed as I usually am. It has been an experience. And I'm sharing with you who are going through it, good and bad, and sometimes both. So you be encouraged. I'm just a human being just like you. Many of you think of me as a very strong woman, and I am, but I'm still just a human being just like you. I got to get this stuff off now and go to bed. Maybe we'll be on climb tomorrow, but I'm going to have to be kind of careful with myself. I really I really need to be careful physically. When you get to be my size, don't do it. Eat your vegetables. But if you should get to be my size and you're in the process of taking it off, joints and all that, if you don't get enough sleep, and I have struggled this week, you don't have time for your joints to properly regenerate. And so if you don't make time for your joints to properly regenerate, then you start having trouble. So I've got to be careful this week, and I've got to walk through this process slowly and thoughtfully. Just like everybody else, I have physical up days and down days as well. You see the good ones in general, but it's not always fun or cute or does it always feel good? No. Strong ginger tea and pain medicine is part of my life. It's another video, but learning how to just work with things as they are when going through experiences like this. Probably better done by someone who has more knowledge of holistic health than me, but there are people out there with that knowledge. Um, I can't think of any channels off the top of my head because it's just been too long a day, but I really encourage you to subtract foolery from your life so that you can actually watch. Abstinent nutrition comes to mind. They have such a great recipe for chickpea tofu, but that's a different video. May I encourage you to get involved with looking at holistic and healthy resources as part of what you do to support you as you go through the ups and downs. Like I said, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head right now in terms of nutrition except Stinnett, but there's plenty of people out there, Black men and Black women, who are talking about this subject. Nutrition is very important. But let me go because proper rest, nothing works without proper rest. For those of you who do know the Lord, I would appreciate your prayers. And from everyone else, um, I cannot, I don't know how that will work for you, but uh, I've appreciated all going through the comments and the conversations that we've been consistently able to have. So thank you all for the support that you're showing by just letting me know you're here and engaging in conversation. And for those of you that have stayed with me, again, I do appreciate it. Y'all have a good day now. I'm gonna get some rest and set up some time for myself to get out. Maybe not walk as hard this weekend, but get to some places where I feel relieved of the burden a little bit, both good and bad, and just be able to just be. Alicia Renese, the artist, actually is probably the best channel. I might do a Alicia Renese binge about just taking time to just be. Y'all have a good day now. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.